Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital Today channel. Drew Cain, ever the master of secrets and quiet observation, found himself embroiled in yet another web of deceit and danger as he moved silently through the dimly lit corridors of Port Charles, eavesdropping on conversations that could change the course of his life, and the lives of those around him. The week of December 8th to 12th promised to be explosive, and Drew, as always, was determined to stay ahead of the chaos, calculating every risk, every angle, every possible advantage. It began when he overheard a tense discussion between his wife, Willow, and a few of her closest confidants, conversations laced with worry, fear, and barely restrained frustration about the looming courtroom drama. Willow Cain, usually composed and controlled, now found herself under immense pressure, navigating the unpredictable tides of the justice system, her fate hanging precariously on every argument and every piece of evidence presented in court. Meanwhile, Drew's mind raced not just with concern for his wife but with a secretive, simmering desire for retribution against those who had betrayed him, manipulated him, or undermined his authority, most notably his mother-in-law, whose subtle manipulations had long gnawed at him. In the shadows of his own home, Drew crafted a meticulous plan to ensure that justice, as he saw it, would be served on his terms, striking back with precision and cunning, aware that any misstep could shatter his fragile advantage. As the legal and personal tensions escalated, Drew's path intersected with the relentless and brilliant ADA Justine Turner, whose recent maneuvers suggested she had set a trap too clever to ignore. Turner, always a step ahead, had devised a plan involving the notorious fugitive Valentine Cassadine, knowing full well that drawing him out would require a delicate balance of legal maneuvering, psychological pressure, and perhaps a little deception. Her strategy, as she carefully explained to Nathan and Dante Falconeri, involved exploiting Valentine's deep-seated protective instincts towards Charlotte Cassadine, his daughter, as bait. Drew, ever the opportunist, recognized that this situation could be turned to his benefit. If ADA Turner thought she was orchestrating events to catch Valentine, Drew knew he could manipulate the circumstances from behind the scenes, leveraging the chaos to not only gain personal satisfaction but also to secure advantages that no one else in Port Charles could foresee. He considered every possibility. Could Charlotte herself be caught up in the legal fallout, either as a pawn or an unwitting participant, to force Valentine into making a critical misstep? Each scenario played out in his mind, sharp and precise, like a chess master anticipating every move his opponent might make. Meanwhile, Willow's courtroom ordeal was anything but straightforward. The intensity of her trial, set against the backdrop of Port Charles's unpredictable social and criminal landscape, meant that she had to confront not just the formalities of the law but also the underlying tensions between family, loyalty, and truth. Alexis Davis, never one to shy away from testing a witness or a lawyer, seemed poised to probe Willow's resolve with mock trial questioning, teasing out hidden doubts and potential weaknesses. Drew, aware of every angle, realized that these courtroom battles were not merely about legal victories, they were about controlling narratives, shaping perceptions, and, ultimately, determining who would emerge dominant in a city where power, information, and influence often mattered more than innocence or guilt. In this environment, even minor slips could be exploited, reputations could be destroyed, and carefully guarded secrets could be exposed in moments of high tension. Drew's awareness of these dynamics fueled both his strategy and his quiet, calculated anger, especially toward those who had underestimated him, including his manipulative mother-in-law, whose pride and interference had long caused turmoil within his family life. Adding further complexity to the week's unfolding drama, the city was abuzz with news about Carly Spencer's risky behaviors as she contended with the chaos surrounding Valentine Cassadine's fugitive status. The WSB and PCPD's hunt for Valentine intensified the already charged atmosphere, creating an environment where the smallest misstep could have catastrophic consequences. Carly's efforts, however, were not isolated. Every move in Port Charles was interlinked, from Valentine's evasive maneuvers to the subtle machinations of the legal teams attempting to exploit his actions. Drew, with his unmatched ability to read situations and people, recognized the opportunities in this turmoil. He knew that ADA Turner's trap was not just about capturing a fugitive, it was about manipulating a network of vulnerabilities, and if approached correctly, it could provide him with the leverage he needed to execute his own quiet form of vengeance. His plan involved careful observation, patience, and the calculated release of information at precisely the right moments, ensuring that those who had wronged him would feel the consequences without ever suspecting the hand that orchestrated their downfall. Within this entangled web of legal strategy, personal vendettas, and looming danger, other key players added their own layers of tension. Portia Robinson, caught in a moment of vulnerability, found herself leaning on Isaiah Gannon for support, creating a delicate dynamic that did not go unnoticed. Nina Reeves, ever vigilant, spotted something scandalous in their interactions, sensing the potential for hidden truths to surface and recognizing the implications this might have for unraveling a paternity mystery that could shake the foundation of Port Charles society. These seemingly peripheral events, while subtle, were crucial threads in the larger tapestry of chaos, each capable of tipping the balance of power or revealing hidden truths at a critical moment. Drew's observant mind catalogued every glance, every whispered conversation, every tension-filled encounter, knowing that in Port Charles, no detail was too small to matter when crafting the ultimate plan of action. Meanwhile, familial and romantic dynamics further complicated the scene. Michael Corinthos' appeal to Christina Corinthos Davis for a favor highlighted the interwoven nature of personal and strategic alliances, strengthening his bond with Jacinda Bracken in ways that could prove pivotal in the coming weeks. Britt Westbourne, wrestling with her own vulnerabilities and touched by Jason Morgan's tender care during a moment of sobering clarity, reflected the delicate balance between personal emotions and the hard realities of Port Charles life. Jason, ever protective and vigilant, remained focused on the larger threat posed by Sidwell's blackmail of Sonny Corinthos, a situation that had the potential to ignite a firestorm of consequences. Drew's awareness of these dynamics, combined with his own secretive schemes, positioned him uniquely to capitalize on both chaos and opportunity, leveraging relationships and manipulating perceptions to achieve his objectives. The revelation that Drew would receive a stunning offer added a new layer of intrigue. Kai Taylor's potential involvement hinted at a collaborative yet precarious arrangement, as both sought to uncover the identity of Drew's real shooter. Kai's interactions with Trina Robinson and the ongoing efforts to clear Portia and Curtis Ashford of entanglements highlighted the intricate dance of deception, loyalty, and strategic alignment that characterized the city. Drew, ever cautious, weighed the implications of trusting Kai, recognizing that alliances in Port Charles were as fleeting as they were advantageous, and that every move could carry unforeseen consequences. The careful orchestration of appearances, the strategic use of information, and the subtle manipulation of those around him underscored Drew's commitment to not only protecting his own interests but also exacting retribution on those who had caused him harm, quietly turning the city's turbulence to his advantage. Meanwhile, Nathan and Dante's investigative efforts promised to unearth surprises with potential far-reaching effects. The possibility of discovering new clues regarding Anna Devane's real situation added yet another layer of suspense, ensuring that no one in Port Charles could afford complacency. Drew, fully aware of the stakes, understood that the revelations from these investigations could intersect with his own schemes, creating opportunities to manipulate events, steer outcomes, and consolidate his position. As the week progressed, viewers could anticipate seeing Anna in captivity, a development that would ripple across multiple storylines, forcing characters to confront hidden truths, test loyalties, and navigate increasingly treacherous waters. The narrative continued to expand into the following week, December 15th to 19th, with Brooklyn Quartermain taking on the mission of thawing relations between Dante and Giovanni Gio Palmieri. While her efforts may have been well-intentioned, Drew recognized that some rifts were too deep to mend quickly, and that the unresolved tension between Gio and Dante could serve as leverage in the unfolding drama. Simultaneously, Sonny Corinthos' relentless pursuit to neutralize Sidwell's influence underscored the ongoing struggle for control and justice, a battle mirrored in the tense courtroom scenes where Willow faced unpredictable challenges. Michael's prior discussions regarding Willow's trial emphasized the anticipation of wild courtroom moments, unpredictable verdicts, and the high stakes surrounding her legal fate. Drew, as always, positioned himself to observe, calculate, and, if necessary, act, ensuring that every twist and turn in the courtroom and beyond aligned with his carefully constructed agenda. In summary, the week of December 8th to 12th, and the following week, promised a maelstrom of intrigue, danger, and unexpected revelations in Port Charles. Drew Kane, silently observing and quietly manipulating events, stood poised at the intersection of personal vendettas, legal drama, and strategic alliances, ready to exact revenge on those who had wronged him while navigating the perilous currents of Ada Turner's trap, Willow's courtroom battles, and the city's ever-present criminal threats. From Carly Spencer's risky maneuvers to Portia Robinson's vulnerable moments, from Michael Corinthos' strengthening alliances to Jason Morgan's vigilant protection, every character's actions reverberated across the city, creating a complex, interwoven narrative rich with suspense, emotion, and the constant possibility of shocking developments. Drew's ultimate challenge and opportunity lay in turning this chaos into advantage, leveraging secrets, manipulating perceptions, and delivering retribution with the precision and patience that had become his trademark. The stakes had never been higher, the risks never more acute, and the potential for dramatic, unforgettable moments never more certain, ensuring that fans of Port Charles would be captivated, riveted, and perhaps even surprised by just how far Drew Kane was willing to go to protect himself, punish those who had wronged him, and navigate the treacherous waters of love, loyalty, and law in the city he called home. As the turbulence in Port Charles intensified, Drew Kane's mind became a labyrinth of strategy, vengeance, and calculated foresight. The recent weeks had made one thing abundantly clear to him: trust was a luxury he could not afford. Every smile, every friendly gesture, every seemingly innocuous comment could conceal motives that might turn against him at the worst possible moment. Drew's wife, Willow, though strong and intelligent, had unwittingly become a piece on a much larger chessboard, a board where Drew himself had begun to manipulate the pieces behind the scenes. The courtroom drama that Willow faced was far more than just legal technicalities. It was a battleground where reputations, secrets, and the fragile threads of family loyalty could be dismantled in moments of high tension. Drew, silently observing the courtroom maneuvers, recognized how vulnerable everyone was when emotions collided with law, and he resolved that he would not allow anyone, especially his mother-in-law, whose manipulations had long irritated him, to dictate the terms of his life or control his narrative. Meanwhile, Ada Justine Turner continued to weave her intricate trap with a precision that only a seasoned attorney could achieve. Turner, fully aware of Valentine Cassidy's unpredictable nature and his fierce protective instincts towards Charlotte, was determined to exploit these dynamics to capture the elusive fugitive. Her plan, shared in careful detail with Nathan and Dante Falconeri, involved creating a scenario where Valentine would be forced into a corner, manipulated by his own instincts to act, all while the law lay in wait. To any observer, the plan was brilliant and unassailable, but Drew, ever the strategist, saw cracks in the facade. He realized that Turner's trap could be turned to his advantage if navigated correctly. By subtly influencing events from the shadows, Drew could ensure that the outcome favored his own agenda, advancing both his personal vendettas and his broader objectives. He understood the delicate balance of timing, perception, and deception required to execute such a plan flawlessly, and he reveled in the challenge. The week also promised to highlight the ongoing chaos surrounding Carly Spencer. Carly, ever impulsive and fiercely determined, found herself entangled in the swirling storm created by Valentine Cassidy's fugitive status. The combined forces of the WSB and PCPD were relentless in their pursuit, and the danger was amplified by concerns over Charlotte Cassidy's safety. Carly's behavior, while risky, was driven by her protective instincts and her desire to maintain control in an increasingly unstable environment. For Drew, Carly's boldness was both a challenge and an opportunity. He watched as she maneuvered through the turbulence, noting the vulnerabilities in her strategies, the moments of hesitation, and the opportunities that arose from her high-stakes gambles. Every move Carly made was another piece of intelligence Drew could exploit, weaving into his intricate tapestry of revenge, protection, and calculated manipulation. Within this maelstrom of legal and criminal maneuvering, Willow's courtroom drama intensified. Alexis Davis, a formidable presence in any legal setting, was poised to test Willow's mettle with mock trial questioning and relentless scrutiny. Alexis' questions were sharp, probing, designed to expose any inconsistency, any hesitation, any sign of weakness. Willow, resilient yet human, felt the pressure mounting, aware that every word, every expression, every nuance could influence the verdict. Drew, observing from behind the scenes, recognized the duality of the situation. While the courtroom drama ostensibly focused on legal arguments and evidence, the undercurrent was one of personal survival, power dynamics, and subtle psychological warfare. Drew's understanding of human behavior, honed through years of navigating treacherous social and familial networks, gave him a decisive advantage. He anticipated Alexa's tactics, predicted potential pitfalls for Willow, and began devising contingency plans that would allow him to intervene discreetly, protecting his wife while simultaneously advancing his own undisclosed objectives. Portia Robinson's storyline added yet another layer of complexity. Her growing reliance on Isaiah Gannon created an intimate, vulnerable dynamic that had far-reaching implications. Nina Reeves, sharp-eyed and perceptive, quickly noted the subtle interactions between Portia and Isaiah, recognizing the potential for scandal, confusion, or the revelation of a paternity mystery that could disrupt social equilibrium in Port Charles. Drew, observing this subplot, understood its significance. Every secret, every whispered conversation, every overlooked detail could serve as a lever of influence. Portia's vulnerability, Nina's investigative instincts, and Isaiah's loyalty intersected in a web of opportunity, providing Drew with additional avenues to advance his carefully orchestrated plans. By monitoring these developments, Drew could anticipate reactions, manipulate perceptions, and ensure that those around him remained pawns in a game only he fully understood. Meanwhile, family dynamics continued to evolve in ways that subtly influenced the larger narrative. Michael Corinthos' outreach to Christina Corinthos Davis for a favor, for instance, was not just an act of goodwill but a strategic alignment that strengthened his relationship with Jacinda Bracken. Such alliances, while seemingly personal, carried strategic weight in a city where influence and loyalty could shift the balance of power overnight. Britt Westbourne's sobering realization of Jason Morgan's tender care underscored the delicate interplay between emotional vulnerability and survival instincts. Jason, steadfast and vigilant, remained focused on protecting loved ones and managing threats, particularly in response to Sidwell's blackmail of Sonny Corinthos. Drew, with his keen insight, recognized the intricate web connecting personal relationships to strategic outcomes, understanding that emotional intelligence was just as critical as tactical planning in Port Charles's high-stakes environment. The announcement of a stunning offer for Drew introduced yet another layer of intrigue. Kai Taylor's involvement, whether genuine or strategic, presented Drew with both a potential ally and a calculated risk. The shared objective of uncovering the identity of Drew's real shooter intertwined with ongoing efforts to exonerate Portia and Curtis Ashford, creating a network of interdependent agendas. Drew's approach was meticulous. He weighed the benefits of collaboration against the dangers of betrayal, recognizing that in Port Charles, alliances were fragile, and loyalty was often conditional. Every interaction with Kai, every conversation with Trina Robinson, and every calculated move in this high-stakes pursuit required precision, foresight, and an unwavering commitment to his overarching goals. Nathan and Dante's investigative breakthroughs further complicated the narrative. Clues related to Anna Devane's true circumstances promised to unravel long-standing mysteries and reshape the strategies of multiple characters. Drew, observing these developments, saw the potential to influence outcomes subtly, ensuring that the revelations aligned with his own objectives. The interplay of captivity, investigation, and strategic deception created an environment where Drew's patience, intelligence, and skill could flourish. He understood that the ultimate advantage lay not just in immediate action but in orchestrating events over time, guiding outcomes while remaining unseen and unchallenged. The weeks leading up to December 19 brought additional tension and interpersonal conflict. Brooklyn Quartermain's attempts to reconcile Dante and Giovanni Gio Palmieri reflected the emotional stakes intertwined with strategic considerations. Drew, ever attuned to relational dynamics, recognized that certain rifts could not be hastily healed and that unresolved tension could be leveraged for strategic gain. Sonny Corinthos' efforts to neutralize Sidwell, meanwhile, highlighted the constant threat posed by manipulative forces within the city, underscoring the necessity for vigilance, intelligence, and preemptive action. In the courtroom, Willow faced unpredictable developments, with the potential for shocking revelations, dramatic testimonies, and sudden reversals. Drew, ever watchful, anticipated each twist, prepared to intervene or adjust his strategy at a moment's notice, ensuring that outcomes served both justice and his private agenda. Simultaneously, the narrative of Drew's personal revenge intertwined seamlessly with broader citywide tensions. His resentment toward his mother-in-law, simmering for months, provided the emotional impetus for subtle acts of retribution, executed with precision and discretion. Drew's ability to influence events, manipulate perceptions, and orchestrate consequences without overt confrontation highlighted his strategic genius. Every whispered conversation, every clandestine observation, every carefully timed revelation was a calculated step toward restoring balance in his life and asserting control over those who had sought to undermine him. In Port Charles, where secrets were currency and information equated to power, Drew's mastery of observation, timing, and influence positioned him as a formidable force capable